this will be an interactive presentation, and also I will have a recording made available and a PowerPoint made available to anyone who are interested to learn more about this. And the overall outline of the presentation, like today, is to lay the kind of a context as to why this is important, and then put this in perspective for what is happening with the post-COVID teaching, and what can we do at the institution level, at the student level, and at the faculty level in the classroom. So, and then what have we done at UT Austin to really promote student success? Okay. So, but I will try to limit to the scope of the presentation, but we'll open up for any questions, and suggestions I would seek from you. We can adapt to that. Okay. So the current situation in the US, overall, all of you may know the average college graduation, even up to 6-year graduation, is about 60%. 40% of the student, whether it is 2-year college or 4-year college or 6-year college, we are graduating only 60 out of 100 students walk into the door as a freshman. And there is a variation among this, and you can get the data from National Center for Education Statistics. But more, striking is to see this is a recent data as of last week, and you can check it out from the statistics. The student loan debt is about $1.7 trillion, and you can see as a percentage of GDP, it's pretty huge. And the reason it declined in 2021 is due to pandemic. A lot of students didn't enroll. There's about 500,000 students less enrolled because of the pandemic in colleges than before. And this is a combination of both federal loan of 1.61 trillion, and you can see, and then private loan on top of that, and personal loans. An average student has about $37,000 to $40,000 loan after when they graduate. But this is again one side of the financial story. The other side of the financial story, we need to understand, what is not letting them graduate, B, and not being able to kind of pay the loan that they borrowed, getting a good job that's well-paying so that they can do it. So academic preparation, job readiness, as well as graduation itself. Okay. So what can we do at the institution level and so on? But I want to give actual numbers of specifically as a 2-year community college professors. And I teach not only at UT Austin for about the last 30 plus years, and also I have been teaching at Austin Community College for about 25 plus years. And over the period, I have seen more than 12,000 students, and understanding from them. Every year I do a study, but this is focusing mainly on a 2-year post-secondary institution by race, ethnicity, and sex. You can see the highest level of graduation, you would see that is about 40%, and about lowest level you would see is about 27.1%. So even this is a graduation rate in a 2-year college, and you see the trend hasn't changed significantly over time. It has been increasing, but not in all categories. Okay. So what can we do? We also emphasize a lot on diversity, equity, and inclusion. So this is a time to kind of take account of all these things. What are the current evidence-based instruction technology? What are the ways that we can improve student graduation and their employability is what we will focus on today. So the factors affecting student success, the National Center for Education Statistics have done a study. This was in 2006, but a lot of information are still relevant. And this was a George Koo, his team published a 160-page report, and you can check it out. If you just look for Koo team on NCES, you will be able to find it. You can also see through this link. So one is, prior to coming to college, what type of experience and preparation they have, one. And then what is their college readiness and their aptitude? Okay? Are they mature enough to take college seriously? And are they considering college as a 13th year of high school? All that, it need to be considering into their success. And also the demographics, even though we want to include everyone and help everyone succeed, but this plays a major role in affecting their success. But we need to be inclusive in all our teaching. I'm sure there are many other seminars in a TCCTA conference covering about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And then their enrollment choices. Their parents may say, I want you to be this, that, but the students may want to do something different. So how do they select and how do they enjoy the major they select, and then they transition? Yeah, there is a huge difference between someone entering engineering versus someone in biology or English or music. The retention rates are significantly different in a 4-year college as well as in a 2-year college. Then comes the family and peer support. How much are they prepared? Are they first generation student, or and so on, is another aspect. And a simple motivation to learn. They could be very smart and they have all the study skills, content knowledge, but still they're not motivated for various reasons. And there are several factors that affect motivation, both internal and external factors that affect motivation. And based on your interest, we can focus on the different aspects of this. Okay. So the other aspects of student behavior in college, as well as institutional, condition that help improve graduation and student success, is the study habits of the student, which could also include the study skills. As we know, how they can see the big picture, they understand the bottom line and the concepts, and are they able to connect the dots? All these information is something critical that high schools may not prepare them well enough. So when the college, they kind of struggle with it. And then peer involvement is also something important. And I will, talk a little bit more about this peer involvement separately as to what we can do to facilitate that. And then the next thing is interaction with faculty. So many students, they don't fully understand what office hours are and mean and what they can get help from. So they have a kind of a stigma. Oh, I don't want to be misunderstood as I am not a weak student, so I want to look good. That kind of a stigma is there. Very few really fully utilize that. And also there are studies that shown there's the top 25% of the student, top quartile, they use these opportunities to interact with faculty more than the bottom quartile. Okay. And I can tell that from my personal experience. I have a large class at UT Austin and a relatively small class in Austin Community College. After the first exam is done, I asked them to complete a form called exam results analysis form. Is like a wrapper where they try to analyze what question they missed in the exam, why they missed the question because of not able to recall, not able to understand the concept, or not able to apply the concept, or misread the question. Once they go through that, I meet with them on an individual basis and try to help as to what study skill they need and how they can improve. So such things, many students, even though they need, they don't take that opportunity to come forward and take our help. Okay. And then time on task. As you all understand, the current generation is bombarded with so much of social media, which is like a dopamine on their brain. And they are not totally focused or disciplined to use their time effectively until they reach a maturation level. They can do that. Then motivation. So motivation, I'm coming back again, is inherent motivation, which is excitement about studying physics or biology or chemistry. And that helps them to want to learn more, ask more questions, and be engaged. Or the motivation that I'll get a good job, if I get an associate degree in, engineering or microbiology or physics, then I can go make money after this, or go to a four-year college or graduate school or whatever they are planning to do. That fundamental, the motivation of the student need to align with the course objectives and course experience. So that is where you can get them motivated. The other factors that come motivation is a grade. I have done studies with students the last 10 years. The number one factor that comes into motivation is the grade. So any little points you give here and there, they are excited about it, and then they're willing to work harder on that. Other second factor that comes in pretty closely is professors who care about their learning, which is surprising. I have listed parents, friends, and other family, but they really take a lot from our teaching passion and excitement, and how much do we care about their learning and success. They pick up on that. That's great. We are back on campus in person. So that is some of those factors that are internal and external that help in the motivation. Institutional condition, how they, in two-year colleges, there is no clear definition of a first-year experience, but in four-year, six-year colleges, very typical of first-year experience, because most of the dropout happens, about 60%, in the first year itself. And but having them associated with some student organization, having a support group, all that, and a seminar, freshman seminar, all that is very helpful for student success. Academic support, how much tutoring help is available, online, in person, and how much the class is structured to provide academic support. And then the campus environment, how they feel comfortable with the campus. And I'm not getting into the financial aspect of this here. That is another thing that we need to consider. And then comes to peer support, as well as the pedagogy of how we can teach and what type of instructional technique. This is something that I will go into more detail, but teaching and learning approaches. Okay? So this is about 160-page report. I'm giving you the highlights of this. This is one of the best studied objective report that also have done review of other research articles on this topic of student success. Okay? So the next thing is what factors that affect the students' retention and graduation. So this is, again, what are the risk factors? Some of these things are overlapping, but this is specifically focused on community college survey of student engagement. Even though it is 2005, a lot of factors remain still true. Okay. Number one is not coming prepared, underprepared. So what can we do to help them prepare? I know a lot of community colleges offer remediation classes. My wife, she's a professor also at Austin Community College and UT Austin, and she teaches developmental math. And I know how difficult it is to really get them stay motivated and prepare for upper division courses by taking these developmental courses. And there's a gap after high school. There's some academic preparation. They go work for personal reason or family reason. And then the third aspect is attending college part-time, which we cannot avoid that, but it is something important. Their attention is not fully focused on learning. But once they come to that level of time management, focus, and balancing is something that they can manage this well. So I do talk about all these things to my Australian Community College students and get information from individual students. I have a student background information form every semester that I collect, and then I see what individual personal factors affect their learning. They have a child, or they have a parent to take care of, or they have a full-time job, or they have a health aspect that they are, paying, time and effort and money on. So all these aspects influence their learning. Very simple. They're all individuals, and we look at them as individuals. Okay? So I talk with them personally and make time for individual student, try to understand them and customize my help. Not teaching will be consistent, but individual help, and I try to help them out, and being flexible on their assignment submission and things like that, it helps go a long way. Another aspect is being financially independent. It's a plus and a minus. The students take care of themselves. They're more disciplined. They work hard and they are focused. But at the same time, they are always worried about how am I going to pay my fees next semester? And unless the colleges and the financial aid office help, and that's become a major stress factor on them. Okay, fortunately, there are a lot of financial aid and Pell Grant and things like that are available. And even in this pandemic time, a lot of financial support is provided to the student. And sometime I have also seen cases where the students still have that burden on their head, and it affects their learning. Okay, then I've already talked about children at home, and then having a full-time job outside, more than 30 hours a week is tough. The rough guideline I share with my students is for every credit, and I know many of you would be also doing similar thing, they need 3 hours outside the classroom to do well in that course. And then the last but not the least is many two-year college students are first-generation students, and it's true for UT Austin also, where 25% or so are from disadvantaged background, and many are first-generation students. And we need to address their needs a little differently than someone who is experienced in college. One thing we sometimes don't realize, because we have a heavy course content to teach, and we try to focus more on the content than the individual needs of the student, and we don't direct them. There is help available in the tutoring center, in the study skills, there are several resources every kind of community college offers, but since they come to the class, they leave right after the class, they don't feel the comfort belonging of a community. That is something that we can make them become aware of. Okay. So the other thing I talked about peer learning and peer interaction, that is something we can do as professors, how to set up group projects where the students develop an instructional resource that will be useful to their learning and learn study skills, and also share with other students. Sometimes the group dynamics may not work. The students have a feeling, oh, I am the one doing all the work, and he or she is not doing much work, which is a very common, like a sibling rivalry. They talk about others rather than focusing on their learning. But once you set up the group in such a way, either random or self-selected, and define the goal, X person does this, Y person does that, and the Z person does this. So once the roles are defined, they are involved, and also share with them why do they need to do that instead of just do this. that also helps justify, rationalize it, and they work well. And forming groups early on in the semester within the class, depending on like physics or chemistry and biology, have a lab component associated with it. Some courses do not have a lab component like a math or English or other similar courses. In the lab, they are forced to work with groups and they collect contact information. They do GroupMe or any other way, Slack, to network with others. It's a big factor in a student success, helping each other out. And also there are data shown that people participate in sports activities or any social organization, student organization, and understanding the equity, inclusion issues really help them see the college experience in a new perspective. Okay? And all these things, we can make it work positively rather than negatively. At the same time, I do talk to them how much time they spend on social media or unproductive activities. And it is okay to discuss with them in a caring manner. They do take that. But on an academic manner, it's very straightforward and simple how we set up this peer learning. And also within the classroom, there is something I will go into as to the classroom engagement system that we developed at UT, and we are scaled it up nationwide. And that helps in peer interaction within the classroom, do team-based learning, and so on. Okay. So now getting into the academic aspects and the scientific aspects of how we learn. This is published a couple of years ago. He's a neuroscientist from France, Stanislas Dehaene, maybe a different pronunciation. And he talks about, it's a very good book, 4 pillars of learning. And he emphasizes attention, engagement, feedback on errors, and consolidation. The whole book is about it, based on neurobiology and psychology of learning and every scientific aspects. So the attention, we can say, the students come there and just stare at you or stare at the board. Are they really there physically and mentally? The example he used for attention is that now you're checking into an airport, you're going through security, and then you are to catch a plane like that's leaving in about 30 minutes. See, how focused are you at that point to find where the gate is, how to get there, that you have an awareness of the surrounding and which lane is shorter to take into security. All that factors that you apply, that level of attention, like what you're doing now or what I'm doing, is important. So attendance and attention, both are critical. Okay. Second, engagement. So being in there, are you actually engaged, in the learning process of what the professor is teaching? And do you understand what you know and what you don't know? That awareness is very important. And how do we enforce that awareness? That is another thing I will get into a bit detail. Then feedback on the errors. Like they make a mistake and that is how we learn. A simple thing as learning to swim or learning to ride a bike. We fall, we get up, we know, okay, I don't want to go fast. I need to keep the balance. And also with swimming, I need to keep the heads up like this, or I need to keep moving, or in all that thing, we just get feedback naturally. But in the learning also, if someone missed a question, why did I miss a question? What did I do wrong? Always they have that, and that is important process of iterative learning process. The last thing is a consolidation that happen in their head. It can happen while they sleep. So all these are critical, and what can we do to facilitate this? Okay, that is where I'm giving it to very specific aspects as to how do we model our classroom instruction, and what measurable outcome we can get in student success in our class individually and from the college, cumulatively, as an institutional goal. So in the classroom, like asking questions in class and receiving feedback instead of having a student, oh, that's not a good question, or I already told you this kind of response. Instead of taking it in a positive way, objective manner, they are here to learn. If they already know the material, they don't need to be here. So that is how I try to convey it's okay to ask questions. Okay. And one thing, I share a story with them. It was a public television as a PSA, public service announcement type of commercial that comes in. Some of you may have seen this. So there are two students sitting in a classroom and working on a computer. It's like a high school setting, or you can think of community college setting. And the two are girls, and one girl asked the other girl, hey, I don't understand what is going on here. Then the next girl will tell, why don't you ask Mr. Johnson, the teacher? And no, I don't want to look stupid. And then the other girl says, do you want to look stupid or stay stupid? Then realize, and then she raises her hand, Mr. Johnson. That's a 30-second, commercial really stuck on me as to the student want to feel comfortable in raising hand and asking question. I tell that story to the student. They kind of relate to that. And the emphasis on studying and learning and also providing the support. With giving a challenging problem or an exam is okay, raise their expectation, but at the same time, they may need some help how to connect the dots. Institution-wise and employment-wise, the grades and cumulative GPA is very important. And the student learning objective is something that the state is enforcing. All of us have it as part of our syllabus. The graduation rate, these are all measurable outcome the institution can monitor. And employment. The students who feel, if we saw that number, $1.7 trillion, is not being able to pay that loan back on time. It keeps accumulating, and the income didn't rise fast enough to keep up with the education expense. And then are they able to go to graduate school or professional school, and are they continuing to learn? Okay. So with all these, I want to transition quickly into what have we done at the UT Austin, what has worked, and what is that something that we can do. So this was about 2012, 2013. We had about $500,000 grant from the university to transform the introductory biology class. So the normal scenario is I had a class of 120 students to 150 students in each class, and I teach about 3 such courses and total 400 to 500 students. So whenever we ask the student, do you have any question? Just a few hands will go up. Yes, Dr. Sarah, I have a question. But it's happened to be the same student sitting in the front row, and others, they suffer in silence. And I tell them, don't suffer in silence. You're here to learn and clarify your question. So how can we break it? So instead of, giving this continuous lecture, this is something different. Normally, I don't do that. If I'm in person, I'll be doing totally different aspect. But today, I become more like a lecture than participation, but bear with me. In the classroom, I want to identify the strengths and weaknesses of students real time before the first exam. And we also provide targeted feedback and link to content as intervention. And also identify the students at risk and provide timely intervention. This is at the university level that we kind of develop that system. So what it does is we use the smartphone, and this teacher can present the question on the screen, multiple choice, numerical, free response. I'll show each one of them. And we track attendance of the students who are either attending in class, in person, or participate online. So we have a system to track, are they physically in class or they're logging in from outside? We can track. And also we allow the student to ask question while we teach them the same time without interrupting the class, without raising hands. They just text the question. The students are very comfortable doing that. And they conduct, discussion within themselves. We allow peer discussion, and the teachers, very easy to do using their desktop and project it and ask question. And I'll give some example here. So here is a very simple multiple choice question. And this also has select one correct answer, one wrong answer, or no, if they select a wrong answer, we give feedback. All these quotation marks you see here is a feedback why a particular answer is correct or wrong. And you can randomize this, so not all students will get the same A, B, C, D choices. And they cannot just copy off of each other in real time. They can use any Wi-Fi device to answer this question, okay? The individual feedback is very helpful in the sense they can review this, because we talked about why feedback is important. Because once I get a question wrong, oh, I got this question on angular momentum in my physics wrong, but I don't understand why this is a wrong answer. You can give feedback on every answer choices. If this is a correct answer, why the other? This is a simple identification question, but this can be done at the question level or at the individual answer choice level, okay? So then once you give this, this is available to them to practice for the exam. And so the same thing, let me go to the next question. This is a numerical question. If this is the problem, what is going to be the average velocity? So it's an exact answer, or you can give a margin of plus minus range, okay? And there's also an open response question you can give, which to stimulate discussion in the class. What is the most difficult topic that we have learned in this unit 1? So they can put it in. Or here's a problem of how social media affect your learning. They just put it in and you generate discussion. This really keeps them engaged and also participate in the classroom. And also it highlights their learning and where they are weak in. They thought, oh, I knew this stuff, I know that stuff. But when they come and try to answer this question, they realize they don't know, okay? So this is, you can also use this for grading. It also you can give as any response as a credit, okay? With a multiple choice, you can do, particular one. So here, there's a beauty is students can ask question in real time as we go through this. And just like your social media icon, there's one question pending to answer. So the student can ask this, and these are threaded discussion. Some of you, or most of you, have used Zoom or Collaborate or some online teaching. They have a chat session, a chat feature where they can do. It's not threaded, it's kind of random, but here it is threaded, and they can ask this question in class or outside class. So both we can facilitate, so long as you leave the session open and they can help each other, or the instructor can help. This is semi-anonymous. The peers won't know who is asking what question, but a teacher can know who is asking this question, okay? And if they ask an inappropriate question, you can always block them or mark them or warn them, okay? Other beauty of this thing that we developed is a dynamic seat map. What does it mean? They come to class, they sit anywhere they want, and they answer the question. After they answer, I can click on this icon, student response icon. There are 64 students, 61 have responded, and what is the response? A is the correct answer, and all the other colors are wrong answers. So we know the students sitting here, and all these edges, they are not understanding what is going on. This is not visible to the student. I hide it from the display on the screen, and myself or my TA or undergraduate TAs walk around the class and start the discussion. What do you think the answer to this question? What do you think is the correct answer? So we kind of gauge their thought process and then say, have you thought about this? Or have you thought about that? So that is a real-time help, and they can sit anywhere they want. They just select where they're sitting. We have a seat map feature for each of the classroom. For the entire university, we can build, and any classroom we can build. And this is a real time. I click on a particular student, their name will come, their grade and others, how they're performing in the class. And maybe one day they have a bad day, they didn't answer, but if this is a consistent pattern, we can help them in real time. Then the students, after this is done, they can go home and practice on this for the exam. They can turn off all the correct answers. They can turn off all the explanation and practice it for the exam. So the more you help them, A, come to class, attendance, B, attention, and C, engagement, and D, feedback. All these is kind of built in based on these, evidence-based techniques, and it is very simple to use. And we have seen this is not just, talk the talk. We have to walk the walk. You can see that positive impact. This is from 26 professors used this before Squarecap and after Squarecap at UT Austin. In 2014, we did a study, and A's and B's went up, C's and D's went down. It's not cumulative because it's a relative performance of before, fall 2013 versus fall 2014 is when we did the study. It's not from my class. It is from 26 professors in multiple disciplines we have seen. Not only that, being engaged, it also helped improve this teacher's course rating. The evaluation rating also went up, instructor evaluation, course evaluation. Overall, it was a positive experience. 80–90% of the students who use this also like it. They give a very favorable rating and recommend to others to use. So this has a positive impact, but this is one aspect of student success. Okay, classroom attendance, engagement, and there are many other aspects of classroom engagement that I talked about. And but focusing just on what we have done in the technology, it just helps students come prepared to class. So before I start my lecture, I ask 3 questions about what they should have studied and come prepared to class. Once they answer the question, they know, oh, I thought I knew this stuff. Okay, now I don't. Let me pay attention. And it's the prepared mind is a better mind to learn than an unprepared mind. All of you know that. It's very simple. And engaging the students in class time is that they're not going on their Facebook or YouTube or watch something. So they have to pay attention as the questions are coming in randomly. And also it can offer like as a homework and also give feedback on every question or every answer choice. And that also become a practice exam. And then it's very easy to use. It takes, 10 minutes to set up and use it in any class. Yeah. And there are unique features that you don't find in any other clicker system that's commonly used, because we have done these studies and we have done what type of tools they need, and that is how this was developed. Okay, so with that, I close. And only thing I'll share is anyone want to know more about this, please let Cam know or me know. And, I can put my email right here, sata@austin.utexas.edu. Feel free to, reach out to me. This is right there. Okay. And I would be glad to listen to any question. I'm sorry I'm not there in person, and I'm going to stop the recording and then we'll open up for discussion.
Can you hear me, Dr. Sata?
Yeah.